Alright, Nyoka and Sam, let's go make a mess. Although hopefully they just all come along. Tartarus. Named after its hellish atmosphere, Tartarus is where the board maintains the maximum security penal complex known as the labyrinth. You're about to assault the labyrinth on Tartarus and determine the fate of Halcyon colony. If there's anything you want to do before you enter the prison, do it now, before you cross the point of no return. Whoops! Yes, I would like to save. How did you know?
I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that the punishment for trespassing is execution. Please be advised that electrical storms on the surface of Tartarus make departure impossible at this time.
Know anything useful about Tartarus?
Resident count is as follows: 3,071. Resident deaths, including but not limited to executions, are as follows: 1,684. Resident escapes are as follows: 0. The interior can be chilly. Take a scarf with you, Captain. I would also ask that you leave your captain's ID with me, in the event that you do not return.
You promise not to leave without me?
I can make the assurance that I will not leave with another captain, unless you do not return within 876,541,652 hours. Oh, speak of the devil. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the prison's docking authority now.
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a maximum security installation. Your presence here is an explicit violation of UDL corporate policy. You are hereby confined to your docking platform until a ticket detailing your crimes has been filed and notarized, at which point your vessel will be seized and you will be executed.
How long will that take?
I wager it'll take a bit longer than it takes you to lose your patience and storm out of your ship looking to get shot. To be honest, that'd make my job a lot easier. You come out, we shoot you full of holes, and then everyone goes about their day worry-free. Except you. You'll be dead.
How do you know? How do I know you're a real officer under that helmet? Show me your biometric ID.
Alright. I'm feeling generous. I'm transmitting the ID of a productive, law-abiding employee so you can see what one looks like before you die. Anyway, Tartarus Docking Authority signing up. Hang on. Another ship just pulled into your dock. Wait, is that from the Groundbreaker? What the? Pay no mind to that. Just have a pleasant day.
Transmission terminated. Biometric ID received. Transferring data to external cartridge. How can I be of assistance?
Well, that was a weird mistake of him to make. I didn't quite follow what the hell he was saying at the end. That was a strange message. But I bet that ID comes in handy. Just had to go get yourself kidnapped, huh? Just to give us one more level to play? Alright, well here I go. I'm in disguise. That means I belong here. Oh. From the Groundbreaker. Gotcha. That's what's from the Groundbreaker. The Mardits are here. Oh. We have friends.
Great. More paperwork.
How's everyone feeling? You holding in there? The board are now agitated. That's adorable. Do you guys get back up when you die, or do I have to worry about you? I probably have to worry about you. Hey, you guys hanging in there, huh? Fuck, is it really just the last of... Oh, there's only one of you left. This difficulty is not nice to Mardits. Oh, it's Anita. Hi.
Can't let you take all the glory here, bounty hunter.
Yeah, alright, I know you. I guess she probably survived because she's a named character and everyone else died. How the fuck are you asleep right now? Whatever, let's get in there. Alright. I used up the first part of my disguise, because the disguise system in this game makes absolutely no sense. Not even a little. A list of passwords for something called a RAM. There are 3 columns, but one of them's legible. The rest has been scratched out. Today's password is from the column 1, Akande. Pick up your hacking items when you can. Whee! Alright, looking pretty Sith around here. Sam? Ah!
I've got to admit, I'm not too keen on walking into a prison. They lock me up, I'm liable to kill everyone trying to get back out.
Well, then I'm glad. It's more or less the idea, honestly. So if you have at 'em, go pew pew. Everyone suddenly does damage now, so try.
A lot of shooting to do, Captain.
Yeah, we do. The funny part is how they don't immediately recognize us as foes, which maybe I should take advantage of and really just like hurry across this room as fast as possible, because they actually might put up like a really big fight. Fuck, the path looks a little complicated. Can I go left here? Because it looks like I can't go straight here. Okay, cool. I only have so much time to make it in. And frankly, fighting all these guys sounds kind of tedious, so if I can just use my disguise to skip most of this, then I'll take the chance. Because they all seem to be damage sponges. That was some timing. It expired right when I got up out of range of everybody. Well, alright. Didn't account for them being idiots, did you? But here we are. All repaired. Bunch of Garbo weapons. Grab some healing items, why not? Got nothing else to do with this money. That's not good armor. Why do they all... Every different vendor all sells hacking items. It's just the thing they all have in common. It's weird. Alright, I have 169 healing items. We're good. The pit. Hi, everyone. I'll take it. Note from your favorite warden, please do not leave perishables in here. We marked this as cold storage because we're starting to move pods in here. It's not an actual freezer. Next time I find decomposing woolly cow box in here, I'm leaving it in the air conditioning intake for a week. Oh god. Storage manifest. Dimethyl sulfoxide canisters. Oh, they got them. Great. In. Dimethyl sulfoxide canisters. Out. Straight jackets, riot batons, ballistic vests. In. Hibernation chamber. Out. Indoctrination pamphlets. In. Forced pacification system refills. Hibernation chamber. Material storage and shipping containers. Architectural records. Structural changes needed to accommodate hibernation chambers in the labyrinth facility. An analysis from engineers Rothfield, Crane, and Geist. Beginning with the requirement that every chamber receive a constant supply of at minimum 34 kilowatts, and that occupants of these chambers be injected with a steady supply of UDL's patented Vito hibernation fluid, and this run-on sentence carries on for 12 pages before finally concluding. And thus, in order to maintain structural integrity throughout the area designated the pit, we recommend these chambers are installed in cylindrical fashion around a supporting structure dug into the crust of Tartarus to maximum depth. The conclusion extends for another 2 pages. So the entire thing is like 14 pages. That's only one sentence. Fun. So nothing if not consistent with this stuff, huh? Bunch of people. Pod 2 unidentified. That might be important. Hi there, if you guys could all politely not notice me, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. It's a bit of a hasty breakout, but we got this, y'all.
Let's go, troops. Stellar base counting on us.
It turns out with the disguise that I had enabled, I really didn't need to fight. Oh, here comes the fighting. Guys, no, no, don't die pointlessly when I can just walk out of the room because they're not even fighting me.
I didn't think we were hiring more staff.
This final mission's awkward. I didn't know these people were gonna come fight, but also they don't need to come fight because I'm just going through this. Are you talking while on shift?
Oh, no. Don't tell anyone, please.
Everyone gets one mistake, just don't do it again.
Thank you.
Alright, well, back to this. I'm just walking through the entire base. And no one's stopping me, so I feel bad that I have a bunch of, like, allies that are showing up to come die in a fight, because, like, there isn't a fight. Like, there just isn't a fight happening. There eventually might be, and that's gonna be when those allies aren't there, go figure. But, like, I can't keep them alive either, they just fucking die immediately on this difficulty. Unseal. What's up?
Well, look who it is.
I found him! It's Mr. Headshot.
I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio for our announcement, and here you are as a bonus. I knew I smelled Monarch when you lot walked in. The stench of sulfur, depression, and desperate bravado is unmistakable.
Keep talking, you'll be smelling iron. Ain't nobody so important I won't put a bullet in.
And, I had heard you were dragging around a repurposed janitorial mechanical. My staff jokes that it's because you're a walking pile of refuse.
Interactive database updated. The unique organic substance labeled Chairman has been classified as filth, imminent for incineration.
He gets it.
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the face. I'll want it recognizable to show to my citizens.
Chairman Rockwell, I presume. Why are we talking to him? Just shoot him.
My word. You've correctly identified the most recognizable man in the colony. Remarkable.
Oh my god, it's like you want to die.
Then again, he's an insane person. Thankfully, he's our insane person now. A proper company man.
Please, Phineas would rather die than cooperate.
Yes, he is an extraordinarily obstinate fellow, isn't he? Fine, he isn't working for us per se. Semantics, he'll come around. But that's between us. As far as my adoring citizens will know, we've turned a dangerous crackpot into a working-class man. It's a miracle.
Look, that crackpot is saving the frozen colonists you gave up on.
Oh yes, go on, wake them up, add more mouths to feed. That'll solve our starvation problems. I don't know what half-baked plans that simpleton in a lab coat has been leading you through, but it's done. It's over. Let me ask you something, Captain. Have you at any point thought about not fucking up our entire society?
You'd prefer to keep riding this downward spiral? I can fix this place.
If I and my people can ride it out in luxury and happiness, yes, I would. I don't know if you've noticed, Captain, but Halcyon's pretty much a lost cause.
I've already rallied Byzantium against you. It's only a matter of time.
You have? Is that what you were doing at the Ministry? Look, I'm not an unreasonable man. If you manage to storm the castle, as it were, and make it out of here with Phineas alive, I can't exactly afford more havoc than you've already caused. Fine. If you survive, you'll need someone to sell the rest of the board on your plan.
He's literally a turncoat already. In one line, he's already trying to sell everything out to get to grovel at my feet. Fuck, you make it easy. Right, just wait here for my orders. Nyoka, no! How could you? Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, no, guys, no. Oh, we're trying to be friends. No, guys. Oh no. Oh no, no. I guess there's a robot here too. Oh my god. Oh, the humanity. Oh no. I can't believe that happened. Alright. Back to it. Fuck that guy. Are you guys friend or foe? Iconoclast! You guys have fun. I appreciate the support. I don't really need it though. I'm sorry that you're all dying, because boy, I don't need help.
I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there.
Hello. Hey, Sanjar's here. You guys are also dying unnecessarily because I just have this magic stealth mechanic where I just walk through the entire area and no one shoots at me.
Difficult job ahead? Consider equipping a pack of Sam's Special Solvent Stain-Out Remover. It's ruthless on residual blood splatter.
Take a breath now, Phyllis. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting.
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for complicating my life. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than uncertainty.
Hey, I already killed your leader. FYI. Yeah. You sure do love talking. Do they pay you by the word?
Typical. Running your mouth in the middle of a crisis. It's almost as if you delight in chaos. I should have dealt with you a long time ago. You were always too dangerous to leave unchecked.
Stop. You're making me blush.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by your impertinence. Leaving you alive was my greatest mistake, but it is a mistake I intend to correct. I have Dr. Wells in my custody. Once I've secured his cooperation, I can move forward with the program. I can repair the damage you've done. I can set things right.
Don't test me, Sophia. It's bad for your health.
I'm aware of your propensity for violence. Halcyon is a bloodier place because of you.
Nope.
I take no pleasure in this, you know. I simply have no other option. Leaving you alive is too great a risk. Goodbye, Captain.
Nope, no number of fights that I get in can ever outweigh the systematic murder that you guys are literally doing. You just put them in clean places where you can hose it off afterwards. Do your worst, you psychopath.
If you insist. This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. I've had it programmed to eliminate you on sight and rinse your remains down a drain.
See? See what I said?
And don't worry. I will inform Dr. Wells that you died heroically or something.
You made this a bloodier place. Also, here's my systematic murder tactics that you were. There they are. Motherfucker. Hey, you. Boo, boo. Come on and jam. Hit him with the thing. Come on and jam. Oh, he's getting back up. That's not good. Ah, fuck. Alright. Some hot nonsense damage numbers going on here. The game finally realized I have it set to the highest difficulty this hour, apparently. I'm not sure if there's that many mechanics to use against these situations, though. Sure is easier to shoot his weak spot when he's on the ground, though. Or his anywhere spot. I don't know where his weak spot is, if he has one. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, those are durable. Okay, come on. So I just straight up don't do damage to these things, but they can just shred me? Are they like immune to this element or something? Which of these guns is which? There's a different element. Alright. That's plasma. That's N-ray. I don't remember how elements work in this game because I've never really had to learn them. Which one's good against machines? Fuck, it's probably electricity, which I don't have. I have this, but this is bad. We'll try it. I'm about to die.
One order of frickin' fan coming up.
57. 57, whatever, okay. Oop.
Sanitization incoming.
Oh, hi. Well, that's not good. Could you just do me the fucking polite thing and die when I shoot you? There we go. There we go. Just had to hide in the corner. We good? The drone's gone? There we go. I think they all fell apart when he died, so I just had to kill him. So I just had to hide long enough to not get killed by all the crossfire of random drones. Gotcha. I'm back to Phineas's gun, yep. To shreds, you say? Wow. You can yell a lot for a pile of dust.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
It was alright. Pretty much just had to walk in because of my magic stealth power thing, so I just had to fight one robot. That was the main thing. You knew I wouldn't let the board... are you kidding? The board would never stood a chance against me.
Ah, all in a day's work for you, huh? You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
Great. Now I was just about to pop open some drinks and celebrate.
I would like nothing more than to celebrate this victory, but we have a serious problem on our hands. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
The entire basis of humanity is gone. Now we're just a series of scattered colonies that are not necessarily even connected to each other in any way. And so we have to make whatever we have here work, because we're an isolated pocket of humanity. Not necessarily the last of humanity, because there's other colonies, but yeah. There's also the worry. Was it nuclear annihilation, or like a disease, or something that wiped out the planet in a more natural way? Or is it alien invasion? Because if it is, I just transmitted to them about how we're like fucked, and so they're gonna know that. Hold on, I need to ask you something.
Yes, certainly. I'll help however I can.
What do you think happened?
I don't know what happened, but something must have gone horribly wrong. I don't know why Earth's gone silent. I don't even know if Earth exists anymore. We have no connection back to Earth, and return is likely impossible. We're completely alone out here.
How do you know all this?
I heard it from Akande herself. She tried to pressure me into joining her side, you see. Tried to make me realize that all hope is lost, and that we are alone. She was half right. We are alone. And we're going to have to fend for ourselves, because there's no telling what's happened to Earth.
You mentioned a frigate disappearing.
You might have heard of the Earth Directorate's frigate. Half the colony's entire military was on that ship. They were returning to Earth when they vanished without a trace. That was 2 years ago. We haven't heard a word from them since. Whatever happened to Earth likely happened to them.
You said there haven't been any new messages from Earth.
Yes, Akande mentioned as much. Earth hasn't sent us a single message in 3 years. No one knows why. Akande had kept the truth to herself, perhaps with good reason. Can you imagine what would have happened if word got out? We'd have utter pandemonium.
A relay station near Scylla hasn't picked up any unencrypted messages in 3 years.
Yes, you were the one who reactivated that relay station, weren't you? Any message from Earth would have arrived unencrypted. It's been 3 years since our last message. The board tried using drones to contact Earth. Every one of those drones sent back the same encrypted message. Earth is completely silent.
There's something else. I know about the other colonists, Phineas.
I wasn't trying to hide the truth from you, but after all you've done, I owe you an explanation. Yes, I experimented on the Hope's colonists. Each of my experiments ended in catastrophic failure. Each of my subjects died in agony. You are my first and only success. I didn't tell you about the others because I didn't want to burden you. My failures are my own to bear, not yours.
You are a murderer and a liar.
You have every right to think of me that way. I know I can never win back your trust, but I'm trying to set things right. My apologies. I need to get a hold of myself. We've far more pressing issues to worry about right now. If you have any more questions, ask me. I'll answer as best I can.
We've got work to do.
Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
You can count on me. I'll help you revive the other colonists.
When I revived you, I thought you were going to help me save this colony. I was wrong. I had our roles reversed, you see. You're the one who's going to save us all. I'm just the one who set you on your path. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took sublight salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the sublight family together. The collapse of Edgewater left its workers bereft of any purpose in life. Most of them made their way to Adelaide McDevitt's camp, hoping to ingratiate themselves into her favor. Adelaide accepted only a few to her community. The rest were turned away and likely died of starvation. Nevertheless, Adelaide's camp grew into a well-established town. Adelaide McDevitt refused to cooperate with the ongoing effort to save Halcyon from collapse. A sympathetic deserter stole a copy of her research and delivered it to the Hope's scientists. It is unclear how useful Adelaide's research was. An optimistic estimate suggests her work may have bought Halcyon another few years of survival. Adelaide would never know. She died that winter. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name. And in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail, or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past, and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Well, that felt like it was pretty unambiguously like the best possible ending in almost every possible way. Jesus. There's a few elements I found a little iffy. Just because the nature of having one of those slide endings that tries to close up every single detail of every single plot point is that they don't always necessarily reflect what happened in all the other storylines. So like in some of those storylines, it's like, the board was gone, completely gone, goodbye the board. And other ones, it's like, the board was an evil, shadowy organization that killed Lilia Hagen for daring accusative things. And it's like, huh? And I'm uncertain who's doing what, because like I killed the only board members I could find, except for the guy in house arrest, who seemed to be the only one that might actually be kind of helpful to let exist in the power vacuum. And it sounds like he was good shit potentially, but like still creepy board shit's going on, and other people are like resisting the board and stuff, and I'm like, wait, you have slides talking about resisting the board that are coming after the ones that were talking about the board already being gone, and maybe that's just because they're not in chronological order, but there's just like confusing elements to that. And like the way it was presented was just like, I'm like, excuse me? But yeah, generally sounds like pretty good shit. It does sound like, Adelaide did canonically turn people away, and then they starved. Which is a bummer, but That was what was going to happen in general. I gave up completely on Emerald Vale. Fuck those people. That it's not that the people in it deserve to die inherently. It's just like, but like the society they had was just actively killing them, and like actively so fucking gone that I couldn't accept responsibility for what was going to happen to them at some point. It was just too much. I was like, yo, you guys need medicine, here's your medicine. And they're like, cool, we're gonna burn this. I'm like, fuck this place, I'm done, I quit, I'm done with these people. I'm gonna give the power to the people that actually have a thing that's not completely fucking insane going on. But on some level I could get that maybe she wouldn't be able to accept every single person into their, into that society. They could only let in so many people and then had to turn everyone else away. And then I guess those people weren't able to like create like any kind of like camp of their own. I guess they just couldn't come with any resources. The existence of raiders bothers me. There's marauders on that planet everywhere that are somehow alive, not only having to survive amongst all the monsters, but also like they're eating somehow. I don't know how they're alive. Like, this is an unsurvivable planet, and yet there's a bunch of people outside that are alive. I can't help but feel like, in a general sense, there's a bunch of marauders and outlaws throughout all of Outer Worlds that have no real reason to exist outside of the fact that it's a shooter in the style of Fallout, and so they expect like the audience just expects like raiders to be out there like in Fallout. So like, here's some raiders to shoot, but like, I feel like most of the places raiders existed was places where raiders couldn't survive / didn't have a reason to exist. They kept talking about it being such a death sentence to get kicked out of Emerald Vale, but then, like, there was just raiders just everywhere. Like, they were doing fine somehow, even though they weren't in the greenhouse or Emerald Vale. But I guess all the Emerald Vale people couldn't find a way to survive, even though everyone else was able to find a way to survive. Also, weren't they... I don't remember what the Saltuna... They were packing Saltuna. Could they not catch Saltuna? Maybe they overfished all of Saltuna out of existence and there wasn't any left. Or were they getting... No, they wouldn't, would they? I was thinking that maybe they were getting the Saltuna shipped in from off-planet and then they were canning it there, but that'd be stupid. Why would you can it on the planet it's from? Yeah, it wouldn't be good, shippable without being canned first. That doesn't really make much sense. So I assume they were fishing the Saltuna right there, because I think there was a lake next to the settlement. So maybe they overfished Saltuna out of existence into extinction, which was itself going to lead to colony collapse anyway, so like, yeah. What a fucking shit show. But if they hadn't fished up all the Saltuna, then you'd think that they could go fishing, at the very least, and that'd be a source of food at least. Then figure out which local plants might be edible, maybe. You know, just sort of start over the same way they did. That lady just has a botanical garden, but like you can create a settlement, a fishing settlement on the edge of the lake, and then if fish isn't enough for your entire diet, you could trade the fish with the botanical garden, because like even if they don't let you in, surely she would be open to resource trade like a normal fucking society would be. So like, I don't know. It feels kind of defeatist how weakly the colonists apparently just give up and like they just die the moment you turn the power off. I'm like, they can be surely they can be a fishing village. Maybe I'm forgetting a logistical thing because it was the first planet from the entire game, so I don't remember the exact details, but like I feel like they're not just instantly doomed the moment I'd give them the power instead. But that is a rough moral choice you're given. You're basically just told, hey, fuck over a colony or stop playing, I guess. Like, you can't choose not to take the power. There's no ending in that direction. It's just you have to stop playing Outer Worlds, which is not really the path I was taking, but that's basically what we have to do if you don't want to pick a side and destroy one of those colonies, then you have to just not continue Outer Worlds. But that's arguably immoral. When you look at the ending of this and all the things I accomplished, like getting the Unreliable going clearly was worth doing, because look what I did. I saved the whole colony as a result. You could debate whether or not I could have accomplished something else by like hijacking another ship or Like the question never seems to enter the idea, the narrative. Like just the idea that like maybe you could find another ship or find another way that doesn't require the unreliable. But given the context of those being our only choices, it was probably the right call. And all the different factions won. I feel like most of them basically got the best possible ending. If anything, I feel like this game might suffer a little bit from a lack of ambiguity. As much as it's fun to like, let's go shit on capitalism and whatnot, and just dive into that, it doesn't really have a lot of ambiguous moral choices or anything. There's a lot of like hilariously evil people, and then just the right call to make. Like you have a fact, like with the MSI and the Iconoclast, you get to just save both of them. And the Groundbreaker is just save this ship full of people or leave them to die, which isn't much of a choice. And those are the primary choices throughout the game, really. Besides, do I want to side with the board that's clearly evil, or do I want to help this clear, like, protagonist character? I'm just saying, there's, like, choices in, like, Until Dawn and Walking Dead and whatnot that are, like, 50-50 and people are really split. And I feel like the Outer Worlds might not be that split in a lot of their choices, but I don't have the stats. What comes to mind though is the first planet. I hear a lot of dissenting opinions in both directions about which path they took with the first planet. But aside from that, I'm not sure how much ambiguity and divisiveness there is amongst the choices. I feel like a lot of people might play the game the same way. I feel like they might have made the game so blatant with its messaging that even some like, I think the people that are like pro-capitalism might still make the choices that are coded as anti-capitalist just because there's a really clear good guy, bad guy coding to the characters that really sidesteps having to be introspective about those kind of thoughts, I think. And that might reduce the impact of its message a bit. But still, credit where credit's due that they went in that direction with this kind of stuff, because a lot of games don't. In fact, a lot of companies practically brag about being apolitical or whatnot, but I do think this game suffered from what I anticipated what it would suffer, which is that it suffered from me having just played Disco Elysium first. Which was always going to happen, probably, because Disco Elysium just looked hype as shit, and I was looking forward to it for like a year, even before I realized what it was really going to be, just because it looked really good visually and like it looked like something fresh. But then I played it and it was definitely something fresh. I wasn't fully ready for that to just come out of the blue like that. Although, you know, just gonna point out, Outer Worlds developers / publishers / PR company or whoever was in charge of that, when I put in a request for a press code for Outer Worlds, I was rejected. Not even just ignored, but rejected. Disco Elysium gave me a code, but Outer Worlds, they're like, you don't get a code specifically on the service that I use. So, you know, just saying. But anyway, next up we get to pick a new game, which it's been a while. Because we did, well, going by Yakuza, technically it's been like a month and a half, which actually isn't that long for an RPG. But, yeah, this was a weird Russian nesting doll of RPGs where I did Outer Worlds, then got stopped by game-breaking bug, then went back and did Yakuza, and came back to Outer Worlds, and now it's done. And so it's time to pick whatever is new. Overall, Outer Worlds is fine. That's been the overriding consensus, I think, with me and everyone else, is like, it's fine. I got a kick out of the theme they went for. Many elements of it could have been better. Its moral choices could have had more grit to them and more trade-off a little bit and more friction. Its characters could have been more interesting and more fleshed out, and also maybe a little bit more heavily conflicted with each other, besides just the one guy that's pro-corporate, more or less. That could have all gone more and gone further. In fact, the religious guy's religion kind of, you get an info dump about it at the beginning, but it kind of never matters again, to the point where I basically, by the end of the playthrough, I think I more or less forgot what it was and how it worked, because it was actually just kind of a thing they just dump on you and then you move on, which is kind of how the companions are handled in general. You get a lore dump about them like once, and then maybe it's reinforced by their side quest, but then you mostly they just kind of sit there and like, this is the snarky one, and this is the straight man, and so on, and that's like, they just kind of riff on each other a little bit, but otherwise don't really have much to do or say or grow or so on. And then there's the combat, which is like it's just a shooter, and like not a particularly interesting shooter either. Like, it was just a shooter. I don't know. In many cases, shooter RPGs are kind of the least interesting in some ways, while being the most interesting in other ways, which is that if it's the... I guess this speaks to my desires about cyberpunk a little bit, is what I would say. Is that Deus Ex and Prey are 0451 style games where you like unlock mechanics and use those to like infiltrate these like non-linear, interesting environments. And like, I'm hoping Cyberpunk goes that route, because Outer Worlds is laid out. It sometimes has little stealth, some little alternate paths. Oh, I crouched through here and I went through an event and I hacked the thing, but like a lot of Outer Worlds' gameplay is set out like Witcher 3, where it's just an open-ass map and you just kind of run out of place and do the objective marker and then run somewhere else. And like, I feel like third-person action RPGs were in the fantasy setting are kind of limited to that and kind of stuck there for now in many cases, but like a sci-fi shooter, you can go full-on fun with that and have some good level design and some intense stuff going on, like Human Revolution or Prey or something like that. So it's disappointing when it takes the just kind of run around and do quests on the map thing. That's like the Bethesda model, because that gameplay can often be unengaging. And then as far as the gameplay goes, like, I was kind of astonished how little there was to it. You kind of just shoot a gun. So like, you can like invest resources in different guns and kind of get a skill that makes you better at certain guns, but like, you're not really whipping out abilities. Like, I wish they had incorporated some kind of special ability into their lore, in their world building. Like magic, some kind of standard, some kind of equivalent of magic, basically. Doesn't have to be that exactly, but there's something that's brought in by the Mass Effect system of having, like, they had biotics and engineering in addition to just soldier. Whereas in Outer Worlds, you just have to play the game as a soldier for Mass Effect, which is the least interesting way to play Mass Effect. Like, I want to lift a guy in the air, or generate a barrier around myself, or just do anything. Just do anything during combat besides just shoot the guy. Like, having a stealth toggle is not enough interesting gameplay to complement shoot the guy. And your party members aren't character classes like in RPGs. They just are guys with guns. So they're just you again. And the only trick is that you can press a hotkey every now and then to make them do an attack, which is mostly just some damage and a stun across the board, to the point where I didn't really ever learn how they differentiate, because it didn't seem to matter. But also the game was tuned to be pretty easy, even on the hardest difficulty, until the last level, so there wasn't really ever a challenge anyway. So if this game has any hidden systems I didn't internalize, it's partly the game's fault for not ever challenging me to make them necessary. But as somebody whose favorite RPG thing is the Mass Effect trilogy, and I just love that world so much and its gameplay in a lot of ways, Outer Worlds is definitely disappointing when all you're doing is shooting. But also, as somebody who's spent the last year and a half playing Overwatch like a lot, I've seen what you can do with shooters and how interesting character designs can be in the concept of a shooter. And like, I just oh man, I'm sorry, I just got in my head this really cool idea of like, what if there was like an Overwatch that was an RPG? Like, you take some of those character designs with how dynamic and different they are, like Pharah and Lucio and Widowmaker and Mercy and Reinhardt, like those kinds of characters, and like how diverse their playstyles are, and then you make those character classes in an RPG, and then you go like, and that's your party of characters, and you like, they work together to solve problems and go through a story and stuff. Like, That could be such good gameplay. That could be such good gameplay. Which is funny because that was the original idea behind Overwatch. Overwatch was an MMORPG called Project Titan. And it got scrapped eventually. And they started over from scratch basically. Like Overwatch didn't turn directly into Project Titan. But several of the classes from Project Titan were put directly into Overwatch. To the point where Project Titan literally had a Reaper class. Which was Reaper. The character Reaper was a class in Project Titan, for example. That kind of stuff. But yeah, that was going to be an MMO, which is less interesting because usually that's usually just not an RPG. Basically, it's just a game where you grind, but there's not decisions and like a narrative to interact with so intensely. It's mostly just, here's some tasks, go do them, keep playing forever. And that's the concern, is that you could take the gameplay of Overwatch, but then dilute it down into like an RPG. Sometimes that means just a lot of repetition and boringness. I don't know. There's Overwatch 2 is going to come out with like story missions, and I'm really curious to see how that goes, because Overwatch 1 has some quote-unquote story missions that are only available for brief amounts of time each year, and they're not very interesting. Like, you have these complex, interesting characters, but when they're forced to fight AI instead of enemy players, they're incredibly less interesting to play. So I guess that's the thing. But then again, my idea about an Overwatch RPG, my point isn't literally to make an Overwatch RPG. My point is only that, look at these interesting, like, diverse characters and how they interact. Imagine if some of them were like, some variation of that idea is how you made your character classes in a party-based shooter. You might be able to do some interesting stuff with your little crew of dudes. This might be a nice alternative to the standards, because right now RPGs, you have turn-based RPGs like Final Fantasy, then you have strategy RPGs like XCOM, or XCOM-like things like Shadowrun. Then you have shooters like Prey and Outer Worlds, which in the case of Outer Worlds and Fallout, you pretty much just shoot shit and that's it. That's kind of disappointing. Whereas in Prey's case, you have some abilities, and Prey and Mass Effect, and that's where you can get interesting, is you can come up with some cool abilities that make the game really interesting and diverse. It'd be interesting to see a game with Mass Effect's diversity of ability, but maybe even further, like straight up like Overwatch characters level of like play diversity, but then you can switch between them on the fly, like in like in Dragon Age, where like instead of just having a main character that you're stuck as, be Dragon Age, where you can control your entire crew independently, either in an over the top, like overhead view where you control them all individually simultaneously, or one where you can switch between them on the fly and pause and play and like take manual control over the part that you think would be really important, which interestingly is the villain of Mass Effect 2, is the constant. I'm sorry, I just put this together just now, that the villain of Mass Effect 2 is essentially the concept of a CRPG. Is that assuming direct control thing. But I don't know. I guess I'm asking for a third-person or first-person shooter version of Satellite Rain, a game where you control 4 characters that have very diverse ability sets, but that game's an RTS. But it's an interesting. Satellite Rain is fucking interesting, because you got your shooter guy, and you've got your how do I put this? It's a crew. You got a crew. You'll have like a soldier guy, or a sniper guy, or a hacker dude, or a stealth guy, and a guy that can mind control people, and so on. They have a bunch of character classes, and you don't control them at once. But that's done entirely in the RTS context, which not my favorite. Don't really like playing RTSs, but it's an interesting riff on the idea. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Ultimately, it's not enough to have your game just be, oh, I just shoot things. Not unless the story is going to kick serious ass, and I feel like there's, you know, that's what Outer Worlds is. It did a serviceable amount of everything, but it didn't really kick ass that much at anything. And so we're just kind of, I think across the board, people are kind of just left with this state of like, yeah, it was alright. That was neat. Neat to see them take a break from making Pillars games and whatnot. Oh my god, Pillars of Eternity 2. I need to get to that at some point. I'm gonna spend so much time playing Obsidian's games. I need a break though. I played Pillars of Eternity, then Disco Elysium, and then this. Like, I can't just play Obsidian games all day. We got other shit to do. I'll get to Pillars 2 eventually, but I don't want to jump directly back into an incredibly long game. Colonel's been playing that game for like a year and he's not done. It's terrifying. It's fucking... I think he's over 200 episodes deep, which, I just feel the fatigue preemptively. But I do look forward to playing it, just not immediately. It's like the Yakuza thing. We gotta pace this shit out, because like I'm now 5 games. Yeah, 5 games deep. Yakuza 0, 1, 2, 3, Judgment. 5 games. Wow. Like I'm five games deep in Yakuza. I just gotta sort of pace them out a bit so they don't all happen back to back, so I don't lose my mind. I don't know. I haven't chosen the next game yet, but by the time this video comes out, I hopefully have chosen it by now. And I'm a kid in a candy shop.